go. This is Cindy McGill. She is a right-wing fanatic. I don't actually know anything about her, though, so we're kind of going in this blind together. Let's check this out. It's on the Elijah List Facebook page. They're like right-wing extremists. They're like Trump theologists.
Now, it's not just a wake-up call and an awakening, especially for young people who really didn't have any purpose. They really didn't have any direction. Church, definitely. Religion, I'll just say, it wasn't satisfying them, and of course it never will, because it's shackles and chains and doesn't give you freedom to move. But we're watching now as young people are really getting into the presence of God. They're feeling.
Oh my God, dude. So leading up to Trump's victory, there was a historic drop in church attendance and church involvement and religious belief. We're talking like the none category, like no religion, is like the majority, or the plurality is the plurality of the country now. And these people are saying, well, yeah, that makes sense, of course, because church is chains, shackles and chains. Isn't there a country song about that? But God is very freeing. Totally. Yes, absolutely. That makes sense.
And chains.
It's not your fault. It's everyone else's fault.
And doesn't give you freedom to move. But we're watching now as young people are really getting into the presence of God. They're feeling God for the first time. They're experiencing an outpouring of the Holy Spirit.
And now they're pleasuring God like a young man should.
With that always comes miracles, always comes identity, to give them, oh, this is who I am. This is what I'm made for. This feels right. This is right for me. Even if they've gone to psychics, or they've gone to the New Age, or they've been in cults, or they had been in religious systems.
She has no idea that she is a cult leader or a member or both.
That have not worked for them. They're coming now to a place where they're saying, I want the real thing. I'm not looking for a phony. I'm not looking for any of this. And I think we showed a picture just earlier. I'll just show that now. My friend Abby was actually heading up an outreach that we did at the Lemon Festival. And
Lemon Festival? That sounds fucking metal, first of all. Second, check it out. They have the little Bibles they used to hand out in schools. You guys remember that? You guys get the Bibles in schools? I got them multiple times. I think they're from the Gideons, maybe. Same people that put Bibles in hotel rooms.
In Santa Barbara. And you can see right there, we had a table, and we always invite people to come and have a spiritual reading, or have spin the wheel and get a wristband. And you can see their words of encouragement, right? And here's two Mormon missionaries. And I just went, this is so rich. It's so exciting for me to see this. And of course,
wow. Well, now I know what gets your interest. That's honestly seems boring as sin to me. Although that's not even really fair, because sin is not boring, of course.
They had in Santa Barbara, you've got every kind of person and living every kind of lifestyle. And so, we had them line up in order to get a word from God, get something of substance, living water. How's that? Yes. And then there you see the New Testament and Psalms and Proverbs. And we do a thing called psalm reading. And I know I've caught a lot of
psalm reading. Get it? Like palm reading?
Flack for that, because people go, well, that's like palm reading. And I'm like, everything that the enemy used in a counterfeit setting, New Age or anything else, was stolen from the Bible. It was.
Oh my God, dude. So you're going to practice. Okay, this is fascinating, actually. This is something I've known about for a long time, that there are a lot of people out here, Robin Bullock and others, who believe that they are witches. They are witches. They have the power of witchcraft, except their power doesn't come from Satan like regular witches. Their power comes from God. So they can one-up witches. It's kind of, it like goes back to that story from the Bible where Moses maybe threw a snake on the ground and it gobbled up all of the other snakes or whatever other thing. You guys remember that story? I think it was in front of Pharaoh. I'm not doing the story justice. Pharaoh's wise men show up to prove that they are powerful, and they throw their rods on the ground and they turn to snakes. And Moses throws his rod on the ground and God turns his rod to a snake, except his snake gobbles up all the other snakes. That was like the basis of like Robin Bullock's and others claim to be witches for Jesus. That's what I call them, witches for Jesus. So she's saying she can do palm reading. Palm reading is A-OK. And Jesus is all in on palm reading because the power to do real palm reading comes from God himself. Okay.
Stolen from God. So we're just bringing it back, and we say you need to do psalm reading. It's becoming very popular, and you read it and it's poetic and it's melodic and it's got healing properties that if you read it out into the atmosphere, it comes back over you and heals all of you. And then Proverbs is wisdom. It gives you anchors, it gives you rocks, it gives you things to hold on to, things that are stable, that you can build your life on, that will keep you back from falling into a pit or into trouble. And now they're like, oh my gosh, I want that. I want to read that. So, again, we had to approach them in a way where they were like, oh my gosh, we're salt. We're to make them, Jesus is called us the salt of the earth. We're salt.
Wait, doesn't salt on the earth destroy the land for planting purposes?
Salting them, and we're bringing them to a place where they're thirsty, and now they need to have water. They want living water. And I always joke around and say, you can't force feed people the bread of life. I mean, you're not going to get them with persuasive words or any of that. They have to have an encounter. They have to encounter God and Jesus for themselves. So I believe, as sad as it has been to watch this young man who Charlie was just so young. He had 2 children, and I'm not sure I've seen, people posting a little fetus.
Oh, please, dude. Are you going to spread a lie? You claiming that Charlie's wife was pregnant? I mean, maybe, but she never told us anything about that, never even implied it. I think it's probably propaganda, but I guess we'll find out soon enough, right?
I don't know if she's pregnant or not, but either way, left a wife and children, without a husband and father.
Right.
And so it just told me, I said, there's an attack on the fathers. There's an attack on the fathers.
No, there was an attack on the father. Why is that word plural right now?
And there's always been. If you think about it, that so many young men have grown up without a father in the home.
Yeah.
Or if they were, the father hadn't grown up. The father was still 13 in their mind or emotionally, and they wouldn't take responsibility, and they lived just for the moment, or they just lived selfishly or however they wanted. And I've kind of heard so much from the people that I've encountered on the street that are college age, that are, in their 20s, mid 20s, early 30s, and they kind of all say the same thing. They're like, the guys are just wanting to still mess around and have fun, and they're not wanting to be responsible, and they're not taking commitment seriously.
Wait a minute. So let me just try to get this story straight. You're telling me that every college-age person that you pass on the street, when you ask them randomly, what do you think is wrong with young men? They say they all want to sleep around. So you're getting a disproportionate number of people from this group who are telling you that this group is bad? And you're not encountering a single person, a single member of the group who is actually sleeping around and thinks it's fine? I mean, isn't that like a little whacked out from a data perspective?
And Charlie stood for something that was opposite of that. He was like, no, you need to, have kids and have a family and be an adult and grow up and, mature. And
so you're telling me that every man that you encountered said that men are bad. Am I reading this correctly?
And adulting is hard. I mean, I've got a cup I gave to my daughters. It says adulting is hard, but now they're looking for it.
Yeah.
And now they're looking for, how can I live my life? How can I be a solid person? I loved what she said, what Erica said about every day. He would say to her, how can I be a better husband?
Yeah.
How can
That's a super believable story. I mean, it's the kind of thing that a Prince Charming would say to a princess every single day of her life in some Disney movie.
Can I be a better father?
Yeah.
And I think about how that is exactly what these young people are looking for.
I seriously doubt it. I think that he was opinionated to a degree that he knew how to, or he believed he knew how to be a better father and husband or whatever, parent. I think he knew. I think he had a roadmap. He wasn't wondering. He wasn't lost or trying to figure things out. He knew. And this sounds made up.
And I believe it's a strive to excellence. It's to say, I'm not going to just, mess my life around. I'm not going to just postpone being responsible and being an example to others who also need to learn how to do it. I've had some people that I know in my life that they were raised with parents who, were drug addicted. They just, lived basically raised themselves, I guess, these kids. And one of the kids actually that I met, he became a pilot for a commercial airline. And he said, I did not choose the thug life.
Yeah.
I did not choose the thug life. And I thought that is so.
That's not something people choose. I'm sorry. It does not work that way. Being born into extreme poverty is not something that you choose. If you're born into extreme poverty, your chances of pulling your way out are nearly zero. That's just how it works. Look at statistics. I was born into intense poverty, and the only chance that I had to pull myself out of intense poverty was learning how to be a programmer. So I, literally spent my entire childhood learning to be a programmer because I didn't want to live in intense poverty. And when I became an adult and became a programmer, I was still kind of living in intense poverty. It wasn't until years later that I finally decided to start a YouTube channel and completely lucked out. Like, it was pure luck that I succeeded with YouTube. And as a result, I'm not completely impoverished to the degree that my parents were.
Refreshing. And it's wonderful to hear.
Yes.
And
the onus is not on them to fix it. It's on the government to shape society to be in a condition that people can escape extreme poverty.
It's almost as if, like I said, the image of the paddles going on the heart, the first jolt, the first one. And I believe there's more coming.
Yeah, and also I feel it's important to say, as KJ Doglove says, thug is evangelical speak for black. It's a racist, hateful, vile dog whistle that's existed since the 60s at least. Listen to this. This is Lee Atwater from 1981.
Here's how I would approach that issue as a statistician or a political scientist, or no, as a psychologist, which I'm not. Is how abstract you handle the race thing. In other words, you start out, and now y'all aren't quoting me on this. All right, I won't hear it. You start out in 1954 by saying nigger. By 1968, you can't say nigger. That hurts your backfire. So you say stuff like forced busing, states' rights, and all that stuff. And you're getting so abstract now. You're talking about cutting taxes. And all of these things you're talking about are totally economic things, and the byproduct of them is blacks get hurt worse than whites. And subconsciously, maybe that is part of it. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that if it is getting that abstract and that coded, that we're doing away with the racial problem one way or the other. You follow me? Because obviously sitting around saying we want to cut taxes, we want to cut this, and we want is much more abstract than even the busing thing.
See, at the time, there was this thing called forced busing where they ended segregation, but so schools were not segregated and black kids could go to white schools, but they lived in different districts because they were still so they were effectively segregated. And it's the difference between desegregating and integrating. Integrating was attempted with forced busing, where they would specifically send buses out to the middle of nowhere in bad neighborhoods to pick up black kids and bring them to white schools. And people were talking about forced busing being a bad thing and saying that it's, an government overreach and all that other shit. It was all part of the strategy. And as you can see, it still is.
And a hell of a lot more abstract you know. So any way you look at it, race is coming on the back burner.
Just a reminder, I would really appreciate it if you guys checked out my Patreon. If you're not going to donate, you don't have to, but follow me there at the very least. owenmorgan.com/Patreon. Just in case something happens with the government or whatever. It would be really good if you had some way to connect with me and my content. I'm really concerned about that. And maybe you should consider that for other creators too. So anyway, disgusting. Like, this is what the Republican Party has been for a very, very long time. This is what conservatives have been in the United States for a long, long time. So just to tie it back here, when you hear people say, I'm not part of I chose not to be a thug or whatever other thing, that is directly one-to-one using racist, hateful language that the KKK uses and used historically to denigrate, dehumanize, and make fun of the black community. You say, I didn't choose the thug life. What's wrong with you that you would say such a thing? Are you really that blind? Are you really unaware of history and how it's been used against you, those words? Are you really unaware, or are you just like really a colossal scumbag? I don't know. Dumb as dog shit or evil. Pretty much has to be one of the two, right?
It's as if, like I said, the image of the paddles going on the heart, the first jolt, the first one. And I believe there's more coming. And I've always felt like this. I felt like that this is going to come in waves. It's going to come in waves. It's going to reinforce.
I'm sorry, one more thing. Lee Atwater was a political consultant and strategist for the Republican Party in from the 50s to the 80s, basically. Or from the 70s through the 80s, I believe. Because he was born in 1951. Wow, that's not very old. He should be 70 today, but he died in 1991. He died at 40 years old. How did he die? Atwater rose to prominence in the South Carolina Republican Party, participating in campaigns. How did he die? 1988 election. I'm just looking through here. RNC chairman, musical career. He was a musician. Okay. Illness. On March 5th, 1990, Atwater suffered a seizure during a fundraising breakfast. Doctors discovered a grade 3 astrocytoma, an aggressive form of brain cancer. Oh, damn. In his parietal lobe. That's concerning. He underwent interstitial implant radiation, but it didn't work. Wow. Jesus Christ. Well, anyway, he was responsible for the Southern strategy and just like a bad person, like a really bad person in his heart. Disgusting. Let's continue here.
And I believe there's more coming. And, like I said, the image of the paddles going on the heart, the first jolt, the first one. And I believe there's more coming. And I've always felt like this. I felt like that this is going to come in waves. It's going to come in waves. It's going to reinforce the last jolt that took place. I don't know what that will look like, but I do think it'll be something that will awaken again and awaken again and awaken again. And I think that there will be such a
But check it out. In this game, they called these foxtails just now. We call them cattails here in the United States. Is there another type of little fuzzy thing that is a foxtail? It's interesting.
Pouring when people come to Jesus. Those who seek him find him. And if you search for him, you'll find him when you search with all of your heart. And for us that are older and have been around for a while, we're now raising up into this discipleship mindset. Like, okay, now you've had an encounter with Jesus and you've been filled with the Holy Spirit. And now we're going to train you and teach you how to be discerning, how to have discernment.
Yes.
How to be able, right?
I found Jesus. He was hiding behind the couch the whole time, right?
I mean, you're going to have people with all of every time there's a move, there's a counter move. We talk about this. And so you're going to have people that will flood into the churches and they're going to be baptized and they're going to get saved and they're going to have all these incredible experiences with Jesus. But you're also going to have the counterfeit coming in. Yeah. I mean, you just will. We had that happen in a church more than once where we pastored. And
what does that look like for you?
It was interesting because you thought, well, these people seem Like, we could maybe entrust them in a position of teaching the kids or youth pastor or something like that. And
You trying to tell me you had infiltrators trying to come into your church and like turn people atheist? Is that what you're saying right now? Really? This is an old conspiracy theory from like the 80s and the 90s. Please.
they looked and sounded right and all this, but there was something going on the inside.
Well, how do you know that?
And it was interesting. We were having a conference, and Bobby Connor was our speaker, and he's a good friend. We've known Bobby for, I don't know, probably 30 years now. And he stepped up. We were in Utah. He stepped up to the podium, and the first thing he said, there were probably 200 people, 250 more there, and he said, "It's a dumb devil that would send a witch to a meeting like this."
Oh my God, dude.
And we're like, Tim and I are looking at each other going, what did you feed him for dinner?
Right.
Like, what an opening statement.
Maybe rye bread with ergo on it.
Yeah, you're thinking who?
That's a reference to the old Salem witch trials, by the way.
Right? That'd be the first thing I would think. Who is it?
Exactly. Well, we just kind of let him go because we do. We just let Bobby go. We know him and we know he's got something's up. But he recognized it right away. Mm-hmm. And one of the young girls got up and came to the back where we were. And she said, "I was in a coven here."
I bet. Yep, a coven. Totally. Super believable.
And I got born again and Jesus now lives inside me. But she said, there are several people in this audience that are in this congregation here that are from that coven.
Uh-huh.
Oh, wow.
Well, maybe they decided that they wanted to come to Jesus. You ever knock that one around? You ever consider that possibility? No, it definitely, it has to be some conspiracy that witches are like trying to ruin your day or something. Jesus.
And we went, okay. So we just put everyone on guard. We had
Sorry to interrupt. Were they normal people who would just they weren't just like a one-time conference. They were infiltrated.
They were probably 10 of them.
Oh,
and
wow.
Okay, that wasn't the question. We know that there were a lot. The question was, were they regulars that came all the time?
Bobby said later, he said they're low level. They're low level. But still, I think what it did for me and for Tim too is like, we need to learn discernment.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, there's nothing easier than freaking out an evangelical. All you got to do is tell them that you're a Satanist, and they will they suddenly believe they're the main character in the movie The Exorcist, and they're getting their holy water, they're strapping it on like it's a belt of ammo. You know, they got these little vials of holy water. They pull like a hand grenade, pull the cork out with their tooth and throw it at them, you know? I mean, it's absurd, man. Please get help.
You remember the first thing, Matthew 24, when the disciples came to Jesus and said, "Tell us what's going to be the sign of your coming. What's it going to look like when you're coming back?" The very first thing out of his mouth was, "Don't be deceived."
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, I don't think that's what he was talking about, but whatever.
He said, "Many are going to come in my name saying, 'I'm the Christ,' and they'll deceive many." And so I believe that discernment is going to be something that we're really going to have to hold on to. Now, how do you get that? How do you get discernment? Well, the first thing you do is you learn what the real thing is.
Mm-hmm.
You learn what the real thing is.
Well, see, therein lies the problem right there. None of it's real. That's the issue. None of it is real. And any hole that you poke in one can be poked in another as well. And you're like pretending that there's some way to tell or something. Like, please.
If you go to a bank and we've heard this story before, how different tellers, they would give them real money, and then a counterfeit would come through. Mm-hmm. And they would feel it, and it felt different, it looked different. They knew that it wasn't real currency, right?
Yeah.
And it's because they'd held the real for so long that they were convinced of it.
Such a great example.
It is. Mm-hmm. And I believe that we are in a time right now where not only this is not just a synergetic atmosphere where people just, I'm just going to, get rid of all my stuff and then and then it says immediately, it's like the parable of the sower and the seed, right?
Yeah.
It says some fell on the a rocky ground, and it says immediately that the enemy came and picked it up and took it, and it
Yeah.
wasn't able to go in and get roots and to grow, and it had to have fertile ground.
That's right.
So us as leaders, we need now to provide fertile ground for the seed to come in, so that people can begin to grow, and that
Yes.
we are watching to make sure that they are being trained in the way they're learning the word. They know how to find stuff in the word. They need to know about, where is this found, and what does that mean, and what was it applied to, and what was going on during that time when that thing happened.
Yeah. Yes.
And so it's a time for the teachers to rise up. It's also
Amen.
a time for us as older people to begin to embrace the new era that we live in, because the people that are going to come in, that are going to take the leadership positions in this next hour, they're going to look rough. They're going to be street smart.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they just are. They're going to be street smart, and they're going to come in looking like their old life.
Is she saying that she thinks that people are going to be like, they're going to look like they've been run over by a truck because they're fighting so hard on Jesus' behalf or some other thing? Is that what she's saying?
They're going to have tattoos. They're going to have piercings. They're going to have half their head shaved. They're going to,
Oh, that doesn't sound very Christian to me. Not that I have a problem with it. I absolutely do not. I'm just saying it doesn't sound very Christian.
and
Yep.
some of them are going to have come out of the gay and lesbian lifestyle.
Mhm.
And they're going to realize, my gosh, I was going in this direction. We have several friends now that they were in a lifestyle like that. They were all in,
Yes.
but then
God, they were all in on the lifestyle. Look, I hate to tell you this. I can't believe I'm the first one to say it, but it's not a lifestyle. It is literally just who you are. That's part of your identity. And you can pretend that you're not gay until the cows come home. All you want, go nuts. But you are. You are. If you are gay, there's no denying that. That's just what it is. And the vast majority of pastors or whoever that I've met who were once gay, they don't even bother pretending that they were converted. They'll just say, they'll just say, it's something I struggle with every day, like an addict. There is a movement of people who are like super anti-gay and pro-conversion therapy. And those people will say, I was healed. I was gay once, but no longer. But they almost always end up leaving the organization, especially since this one famous gay pastor, he started the conversion therapy thing in large part and ended up leaving the church afterward and saying, I can't, I'm not gay, or I'm not going to do this. I am gay. That's just what it is. It's fascinating that these people can't just accept who they are.
they heard truth, they weren't judged, they weren't shamed. They just needed to come into a place where they could have an encounter with the creator and the one who put them together.
Mhm.
And then they began to wake up. It's like their minds were clear, and they tasted and they saw that the Lord was good. And then they began to want to change. He began to do it. He did that. He's
Yes,
the one that
amen.
got a hold of them. And so you're going to have people that are coming out of different lifestyles, and they're going to be warriors. They're going to be the ones that will be able to take positions of leadership, and they're going to learn quickly, and they're going to be very tenacious about having lived in a lie, now living in the truth.
Yes, that's
Right.
so beautiful.
Mhm.
And so true, because you think they've gone through, all these things of maybe same-sex attraction or even starting the transition, and
Oh, please.
they've gone through this, they've lived it, and then to receive the truth from Christ, the real truth, not the counterfeit truth of what culture tells you or your flesh tells you, but the truth of God's word.
Yeah.
For them to have that experience, the boldness that comes on you, you know this, I know this, everyone watching who's been saved, born again, you've been saved out of some sin that you were struggling with. Jesus has set you free. You have such a boldness in that area. No one is going to not tell you that God saved you because you know your testimony.
Well, and you're never going to go back.
Right.
There'll be no, the bridge will be blown up. You can't go back. Why would you?
That's right.
That was a destructive thing that was taking you down a path that wasn't even made for you.
That's right.
And
so good.
and so I believe that, there's going to be these people now. We're going to have to change us. We're going to have to come in, or we're going to be an old wineskin.
Yeah.
An old wineskin, okay?
How's that? We're going to have to now learn how to function and guide and to lead and to mentor the ones that are coming in that think differently than we do. And we're going to teach them the word, and they're going to have a different expression of what that might look like, right?
Yep.
Because Jesus is still doing new things. He said, greater things than I did are you going to do? Well, what are those things? I mean, he did some pretty crazy, incredible things.
He did, yes.
And so we haven't seen things that he's getting ready to breathe down from heaven on this
Any 5 minutes now.
earth. But these young, radical kids, I think that is my audience. I love them. I do. I don't care what they look like. I don't care where they came from.
That's not very Christian or traditionalist or whatever of you.
I don't care what I don't care. I'm not, I've had so many people say to me, well, what do I do? Like my daughter's involved in same sex or my, and they want to get married, or she wants to get married and then wants me to come to the wedding. And I'm like, well, you have choices and she has choices, and you have a journey and she has a journey, and it's not going to compromise your love for her, but you don't have to participate, right?
By the way, guys, check out my new shop, owenmorgan.com/shop. I have a bunch of really cool designs on there.
It's not going to compromise your love for her, but it might compromise her love for you. If you refuse to participate by just being there for your kid, you're going to burn a bridge that you can't come back from. My mom didn't go to my brother's wedding, even though it wasn't even a gay wedding. It was a normal wedding. He's straight. It was because he was a non-Jehovah's Witness. And she believed that the Bible says that you shouldn't celebrate with non-believers or whatever other nonsense. So she just didn't go to his wedding. And I know that ate him up inside. I know it did. You may not destroy your relationship with your kid by not going, but you are destroying her relationship with you, for sure.
Neither does she. She doesn't have to participate in your lifestyle, being born again and living in Jesus. You don't. And so then what happens is it's by your example and by your love that now they begin to question my path. What am I doing?
Yeah.
Is this, I mean, they still love me. They're not shying away from me
at the moment, but you can very easily change that if you are enough of a shithead to a kid. You kick a dog enough, it'll think it did something to deserve it. But there will come a time when it realizes that you're the one that deserved the kicks, not the dog.
And in my case, our teams that we raise up, we're just like, you know what? Don't look on the outside appearance. There's a person that God made for a certain position, for a certain reason on this earth. And we need to look at that and see who that is and call that out and let them identify for themselves who they're meant to be, because it registers on the inside of them. It's genuine. It's real. It's organic.
Yes.
And so now they're like, wow, you didn't judge me. We hear this a lot when we go into the adult industry, which
the adult industry.
And so now they're like, wow, you didn't judge me. We hear this a lot when we go into the adult industry.
Okay, that's an odd place for you to be going.
Which, again, I never expected to go into that. But now this is 16 years
Oh my
This
goodness.
is 16 in January. It will be 16 years we've gone in there. And people would say, you know what, every time I've come, every time I've seen you, every time I've encountered you, or, I mean, a lot of them have moved on. Of course, they don't stay in there that long because when they get older, they transition out and they need younger ones. But there's almost like an unspoken respect for the dream interpreters because we
Trust me, there's no respect for dream interpreters.
don't judge them.
Yeah.
And
I judge them.
we're moms.
Yeah.
We're moms. And so they're like, oh my gosh, can I get a hug from you? And you didn't judge me when I told you these stories about myself. And you didn't fall backwards and give me eye rolls or body language that was, and I'm like, well, I'm just looking at what the creator sees about you.
Totally.
And now they're like, well, it was so right on. It was so true. That's really, and then oftentimes I'll get their real name,
Dude, her volume keeps going up and down.
because they have phony names. And they'll go, did I tell you my name? And I go, no, but the one who made you knows your name, So this is how that goes. But I feel like we're going to have more and more of that as the days approach, because now you've got all these young people that are coming in from every walk of life. They have been waiting for this. That's the best way to put it. It's almost like they have been so sabotaged with all the nonsense and all the ideology and all the weird crap.
Like, you're talking about ideology. You are complaining about ideology. My ideology is okay because it's based on Jesus, right? I don't know who she's talking to specifically, but the vast majority of people don't have any quote-unquote ideology like she's portraying here. It's nonsense. They're just living their lives, doing their thing, and you come along and try to superimpose some kind of witchcraft belief onto them or some other nonsense.
That people have been talking and trying to persuade, and university professors and all this stuff. And
social media is huge too. Can I just say that?
Yeah.
It consumes their life. It's all over social media. It's been put in them, whether they want to eat it or not. It's like, talk about force feeding.
Oh yeah.
Force feeding 24/7 on stuff like that.
But the thing is that these kids now are waking up and they're going, I don't want that.
That
doesn't fit me. I don't like
Like, I don't know what kind of a fantasy land these people live in where they view the worlds this way. I'm so confused by this.
that. I tried that and I don't want to do that anymore.
Awesome.
And it's ruining my life. There's got to be another way for me to live. And that's where we all got to, in the Jesus movement. We were like, there's got to be another way for us to live instead of this. And what we need to do now as the church, and as, we are the church. It's not a building.
That's right.
We have to be the ones to say, you know what? I just love you. Tell me your story. Tell me how things are for you. Give me some information. Let me interpret your dream. Let me give you.
God, they're so weird. I'm telling you, witches for Jesus. Witches for Jesus. That's what they are. And I honestly don't think that Jesus would appreciate you practicing witchcraft in his name.
Just listen. Just listen to them. Most of your success in gaining a trust bridge with them will be listening to them. And then extend your hand and just say, I just want you to know how valuable you really are and how much you have been struggling in this area or that area by your own admission, and you can be free from that and you don't have to live that way anymore. Yeah. And now they're like, who are you?
Yeah, they
you?
feel it. They feel it though.
Mm-hmm. But we do hold the keys to open prison doors, and we do hold the keys to bring people in. And now we need to train them up in the way they should go. We should give them spiritual guidance in the way that they need to go, because if we don't, the enemy's going to come in with some kind of nonsense counterfeit and try and drag them off.
Right. It's the enemy. The enemy is the problem here.
Into a phony experience or another one.
Yes.
Now, what I know is that once you've had an encounter with the Holy Spirit, that discernment begins to awaken in you. So if anything else comes your way, you can smell it.
Yep.
You can tell. Did you know that even when people have a demonic, they have demons, or they just have, demonic presence or things that are trying to attack them, it'll actually have a smell. Did you?
Oh my God. This is the source of the claim that Hillary Clinton smells like sulfur. Absurd. Please get help. I'm begging you.
Know that? Mm-hmm. And you'll be able to smell. I mean, I do that.
Explain that a little bit more.
Okay. I think it just because I'm an evangelist for one thing, but also because I was like, okay, I use all my senses when I want to reach into someone's heart. I've done.
You use all your senses. So you trying to tell me that you think that like you're smelling people for Jesus? You're sniffing them for Jesus? That's what I'm picking up. Is that what you're putting down? By the by. Wait, serious. This is the origin story of that meme? Lamau did not know that one. Which one is that? Oh, Hillary smelling like sulfur. Yes, that is the origins of it. Do me a straight solid and follow me on Patreon. Even if you don't donate, follow me there. It would mean a lot to me because I have access to communicate with you guys. If the government takes down my channel or something, which I fear might happen one day in the not so distant future. What if I want to do you a straight plasma? No can do, buckaroo. It's going to have to be a solid.
It every which way there is. I've done, because I want people connected with God so bad. I use tracks.
Holy heckers, I'm just getting bodied over here.
We used play acting, we did little skits and stuff on the street. We, tried to talk them into a relationship with God, but with, when they've got demonic activity, when you grow in God, God's going to help you. He's going to give you everything you need in order to identify who you're talking to or what's going on with them. Mm-hmm. Okay. And for me and for others now, there's a smell. You can smell it.
Oh, come on, dude. This is such a joke, really.
You'll smell something. It sometimes smells like sulfur. And you'll go, oh, okay. So I know who I'm talking to and what has been trying to attack them or what they've come into a unity with.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. What they have come into agreement with. So now I know what I'm dealing with. Does that make sense to you?
Do you find that for each person that has this sensation that the smells are the same for each person, or does the Holy Spirit uniquely?
Please stop sniffing people. That would be fantastic. Let me guess, though. You're going to tell me that I'm saying don't sniff people because that's your only real way of finding out about them. Is that right?
Like for me, maybe the smell of something means something. The smell of something means something. Mm-hmm. Or is it more universal? In everyone would smell sulfur for the same thing, or does the Holy Spirit kind of cater it to what you know?
Yeah, it's individual in my mind.
Okay.
Because I think it's like if I walked into your grandmother's house, mm-hmm. I wouldn't smell what you do.
Yeah, that's true.
You would what? I'm sorry. If you walked into your grandmother's house, you would what?
In my mind.
Okay.
Because I think it's like if I walked into your grandmother's house, mm-hmm. I wouldn't smell what you do.
I wouldn't smell the smells that you smell in your grandma's house. Okay. I did not understand. That was so super confusing for a second there. Oh my God, dude. It's pretty weird anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. So if you walked into mine and my grandmother's house smells this way, right? You would not recognize it, but I would, Mm-hmm. And so it's individual for each person.
Okay. That
but
helps.
I think what I'm trying to say is I think that we're coming into a time where we need to begin to let God use us in ministry in ways that we possibly haven't done it before, or we haven't been awakened to it, or we haven't really thought about it, or, we were just so overwhelmed with all these people now that are coming in. Well, what are we dealing with?
Yeah.
And what have they been involved with? And what has been their hook? Or what has the enemy gone after? And usually, you can use, again, all of your senses, your sight, your smell, your eyes, your touch, whatever. And so
you can use all your senses to detect demons.
whatever they've been attacked with, when they tell you their story, okay?
Mhm.
When they tell you their story, they're going to reveal to you what's been attacking them, where they've been
Mhm.
attacked as a child. They've been attacked, with sexual perversion.
Yeah, because if you are not fully Christian, then you are definitely, then you were definitely taken advantage of in some way when you were little, right? That checks out. Anyway, this woman is an absolute joke. Tell me what you think in the comments.